Hey boys and girls, I'm back with more fractions. I'm now on lesson 26, session 2, continuing to measure a length. So I want you to just go ahead and try to measure those earthworms on page 555. There's 6 of them, A, B, C, D, E, and F. You're going to measure those to the nearest 1/4 inch. That means the 1/4 mark. So again, you're going to take your tape measure, or you could even use a tape measure from maybe a sewing kit if you have one in the house. There might be one there. So if you notice, you have the large marks are the inches, when they go step down from that, it's the 1/2 inch, and then the 1/4 inch are there. This one has a lot more than the little pink guy, but I drew it up here. So the big lines are the inches. They get a little bit smaller, it's 1/2 inch, and then the itty bitty ones are normally 1/4 inch. So go ahead and practice measuring those out. And then when you're done, we'll go ahead and turn the page. We're going to go over those measurements here in a minute, and that's why I'm not going over it now. So you can go ahead and pause this video and restart it when you're ready, but I'm going to keep going. So we're going to talk now about page 556. We have those 6 earthworms, and he wants to measure the length to 1/4 inch. So on Model It, you could look at an inch ruler to help you understand 1/4 inch marks. This ruler shows 1/4 inch marks. So I'll grab my tape measure so you can see. So here I have that little line is 1/4. I don't know if you can see that. And then 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4, 1/1/2, 1/3/4, 2, and it keeps going. You can use an inch ruler to help you understand how to measure length to the nearest 1/4 inch. Line up the left end of each worm at the 0. So this is what I was talking about in the other video. You always have to line it up at 0. These tape measures, you go right to the very end. Find the mark on the ruler that is closest to the other end. So one end is where the red 0 is, and then the other end, the blue line, it tells you where it is. So this worm is 1/2 inch. Inside 1/2, there are 2/4. So we're still finding the fourths to the 4th inch. It's just that in 1/2, there are 2/4. Now that was worm A. Worm F, you start at 0 and you go all the way to the blue line. Well, that is 2.5 inches long. So that gives you a little bit of a breakdown there. Connect it. Now we're going to put it all together. Number 1, complete the sentence to describe how you begin to measure earthworm A. Keep it super simple here, guys. Very, very simple. I talked to a lot of you guys in the math problems, and you're making it harder than it needs to be. What's the first thing you do when you measure? I line up the left end of the earthworm with 0 on the ruler. So the left end over here goes to 0. Number 2, look at picture it. Is earthworm A longer or shorter than 1 inch? So here's green, picture it. Is it longer or shorter than 1 inch? It is longer. Number 3, the mark on the ruler that is closest to the other end of earthworm A. So on earthworm A, it is 1.5 inch. So that's what you would write, 1.5 inches. Since it's more than 1, it's plural. It sounds like a Z, but it's really an S. All right. So now it says earthworm A is, well, how long is earthworm A? Earthworm A is 1.5 inches long. Now number 5, use a ruler to measure earthworms B, C, D, E, and F to the nearest 1/4 inch. Write your measurements in this table. So go ahead and write in your measurements. I'm going to show you what I got for mine so you can compare and see if they're correct. Remember, you're going to the 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. There are 2/4 in 1/2. You can break one cookie. I did it here. I have one whole cookie. In this 1/2 of the cookie, this is 1/2, there are 2/4. 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. So keep that in mind. Don't let that trick you. This can be tricky. All right. So here are the measurements that I got when I measured to 1/4. A is 1 1/2, B is 2 1/2, C is 2 inches, and these should all have these little guys. So you know it's not feet. That'd be really freaky to see a worm in feet. I can't remember where it was. C is 2 inches, D is 1 3/4 inches, E is 1 1/4 inches, 2 1/2 inches for letter F. So explain how you found the length of earthworm F. Well, you put your 0 from your measuring tape on the left side of the worm, and then you go all the way until the worm ends, and it was at 2 1/2. It should be at this little spot, but this should be at 2, and then the worm will end here. That would be how you would find it. It just wants something super easy. Look back at your try it, strategies by classmates, and model it and picture it. Which models or strategies do you like best for measuring length? So that's really what is preferred, what is easiest for you. Number 8, Brian finds 2 more worms. He labels them G and H. What are the lengths of the worms to the nearest 1/4 inch? So I'm going to go ahead and measure these, and you go ahead and measure these too. For G, I can't remember what I got. I got 1 1/2 inches. H, let's see what H is. Remember the 0 goes to the left side. I got 2 3/4. If you get anything different than these numbers, please let me know. But this is what you should be getting. So then in the bottom, you're just going to fill in worm G is and worm H is. You're just going to fill those in right here for that problem. Number 10, which lines are 3 inches long when measured to the nearest 1/2 inch? So again, you're going to take your measuring tape and you're going to measure it to the nearest 1/2 inch, 3 inches. So letter A is measuring in between 3 1/4 and 3 1/2. So that would actually round down to 3 inches. So letter A would be correct. Go ahead and erase this. Actually, I'll take a picture really quick for the website. Okay, got it. All right, where were we? Okay, so you're measuring them to the nearest 1/2 inch. A was 3 1/4. It was between 3 1/4 and 3 1/2. So if you measure that, you would measure it. You would go back to 3 because here's 4, and here's 1/2 and 1/4. It measures in here. So it would go all the way back to 3 inches. It would round down. So A is correct. B, letter B. Letter B is 3 inches completely. So that would be 3 inches. And C, C is 2 1/2 inches long, and that one wouldn't be. It would be 2 1/2 inches long. So C is not right. D, three and a half, and E. So that one wouldn't be. And then 3. E B is 3 inches. So the answer is A, B, and E. All right, I think you are fully capable of doing page 559 and 560 on your own. All you're going to do is use the example where you line up the 0 on your measuring tape or on your ruler, and you try to measure it. Just make sure you are paying attention to the denominators on the fractions that you're needing to do. The tip of the yellow crayon above is between which 2 inches on the ruler. So here's the yellow, and it goes all the way down. It's between 1 and 2. What is the length of the red crayon above? Tell how you know. Well, I line up the left side with 0, and I go to where it ends, and I draw a line down. It is 2 inches long. To the nearest ½ inch, how long is the green crayon? Well, it is 1, 2, 3 and a half inches long. And then you're going to do the same thing here. Which crayon is 3 1/4 inch long when measured to the nearest fourth? Pretty self-explanatory. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to go over that in a Zoom with you one-on-one. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.